is cannabis doing for you?
Put some dog tags together, man.
I said, hey, what is this? It smells funny. And she said, there's cannabis in it. And I'm like, I don't want cannabis.
Yeah.
And literally, this is January of 15. And then during that hour appointment, she proceeded to tell me I have an endocannabinoid system. And I'm like, how am I learning about this from a massage therapist? And I knew nothing about it. So I went home and started studying, and I started reading everything. And before you know it, I'm calling her and saying, hey, can we talk again? And and her boyfriend had a dispensary, a little pop-up down in PB. And so weekends I started interning and working there, and it's one thing led to another, but I got bit. I started to take CBD capsules, Canamin, and some other supplements, and started to learn how to microdose THC, and found my way to freedom over a period of a year from all the pharmaceuticals I was taking. And I said, if I can do this for me, I have to help others do this. And my interface with the dispensaries back then, was like, people were making good medicines and selling good medicines, but nobody was interpreting how to use them as medicine for patients with specific outcomes in mind. How do I get off pharmaceuticals? How do I feel better and use this to enhance my health? And once I figured that out for me, then I said, okay, this is my calling. So I created Holistic Caring back in 2016.
Let's talk about pets and the effect on pets, and is it working for them, or is it just a placebo, and how is that from your knowledge? I know you're not a vet.
Right. Pets benefit the same way humans do because they too have an endocannabinoid system. Every vertebrate animal, mammals, anybody with a spine has an ECS. So pets respond to these molecules just like we do. CBD obviously is the number one go-to. Not many people want to give THC to a dog, but CBD can modulate anxiety.
Let's just hypothetically say that you fast forward 10 years from now and you realize that with the studies that are going on, with the way that they're progressing in helmets and whatnot, but let's just hypothetically say that they find out like 100% that if you have even a slight concussion or however anything that's involving your brain, and they know that if you immediately go off to a tent, go in the tunnel, whatever it is, take a couple of hits off a vape pen or however you consume that part of it, that it actually does help in prevention and in reduction. Like, how great is that to know that was
fantastic.
Right, but that was part of your life.
Part of my life, yeah.
Yeah.
And you knew it. And
yeah, I mean,
that's going to be. I hope it's really soon. Neomatic, they've been at the forefront of that for 30 years. I mean, they've got it. We just got to get it here and let the U.S. realize that how helpful it is. And I think that if we can give the NFL that backing,
right,
and in NHL that backing, I think it'll happen like almost immediately.
Yeah, and I think not to say that that you're not different, but when I think, if I understand, your position, the people that you play with, you're on a very good parallel as far as size, as far as abilities. I think they try to get as close to possible, the best of the best in playing these positions. So it's not that you are bigger or however you look at it. I mean, each position is pretty, for somebody that's been playing your position, your size is pretty comparable to most people.
No, I'm like a smaller guy.
Okay,
yeah.
So
Most
that makes what I'm saying a little bit better, because now you look at this and you say, you and somebody else played in the NFL for this period of time, and you come out of this kind of unscathed in a lot of ways, and the person that you played against, or all these people, a percentage of them didn't do so well. A percentage of them end up with, traumatic brain injuries and loss of memory and all these things that take place now as you get to 30, 40, 50 years old. That's where, in my mind, somebody like yourself that has used cannabis as part of your regimen, and that person that did not is now in a whole different life position than you are. Yeah. I really truly believe that that's a study that just took place naturally, that you took part in and didn't know it.
Didn't even realize it. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that would still be here that, and I'm not talking just NFL, I'm talking across the board.
Yeah.
If you know that immediately somebody that's in a car crash, in NASCAR or whatever it is, that this dramatically decreases brain swelling, things would be different for a lot of people.
I agree.
And it's all just one little thing. And yours has been over a lifetime in a career that is extremely short to start with, and it's dangerous.
So, for instance, I remember during the early 215 days, it was all the race on THC, right?
Oh, yeah.
How high can you get, and how fast can you get it there?
Look where we're at.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but look at what the market has become, right? So people expect the 28s, the 30s, but where a lot of the consumers are going now are in the lower end THC sides, the 17 to 18s, because they want that terpene profile or they want that entourage effect, and they don't want to be lit. They want an effect.
Yeah, you're starting to see the craft side of it. I can remember back in the day, Open Vape was the pioneer of vape cartridges in the cannabis industry. Literally was this black. The oil was like tar. It tasted like burnt tires. It was horrible. It tested at 12%.
Right.
If you were lucky.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But everybody loved the convenience of just being able to say that I'm getting high off of using a vape pen. And look at where we're at now. I mean, we're testing 92s, 94s, I don't know how much reality's in this shit anymore. I mean, you got flour now that's testing at 38.
Yeah. Aside from flour, on the concentrate side, and not just the distillate, you have the structured, like, say, THCA crystalline, right?
Crystalline is
talking about
another
99.995% THC.
What do you do? What do you do with that? I mean, it's like, is that what Elon Musk is using for his fucking rockets now? Is he using crystalline?
I mean, based on based on how he smoked on the Joe Rogan podcast, I'm not sure he's dabbing much.
No, but I mean, is that what he uses to fuel the rockets? It's like when you get to that percentage,
right?
Where do you go from there?
Well, and here's the thing that a lot of people also, and this is, again, personal experience. Everybody's endocannabinoid system is different, right?
100%.
But for my personal experience, once you get to the stage of 99.995% in those extreme upper echelon high-end extractions, once you've removed all the terpenes and all the other cannabinoids, I almost don't really get super high anymore. It's really just a standard smoke, right? Like, I could smoke a blunt, right? Say 0.7 grams or maybe a gram blunt. I will get higher off that sometimes than I will off of a 1 gram dab.
What do you think that is?
Well, it's the entourage effect. It's people. To me, again, it's people not understanding the full effect of the plant and how the cannabinoids work together to create a specific strain effect. And I think that's why some companies, started to get away from generic strains, and they started to say, okay, well, this is what the end effect is. Right? So this is going to make you tired, or this is going to make you happy, or this is going to make you insightful.
That's all terpene profile.
Of course.
Of course. I mean, people think that it's, it's directly related to the strain, and I'll give you that it is if it's an original.
But the terpene profile creates the strain.
It does. The downside now is when you look at everything for what it is, everything's a hybrid.
It's almost, sans prohibition, right? It's as soon as alcohol was lifted, you saw people wanting to start their own little microbrews. They're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. The excitement around cannabis is 100,000-fold what it was when they repealed alcohol. Because the thing is that alcohol at that point was still seen as a stigma, a moral stigma or whatever. Culturally, cannabis nowadays, long before the first medical state was not seen that way.
Right.
So even when California started Proposition 215, I think it was 1996, 1995, something like that.
95, I believe.
95, yeah. So even before 1995, the majority of the consumer market or the consumer aged market, the people who were, say 20 to say 40 years old, 45 years old, the majority of people that were out there either buying alcohol or doing some kind of vice, they all never saw cannabis as a negative connotation in the same way that, say, the alcohol when that was coming out of prohibition, the same way that it was seen by the general public, right? It was seen as, I'm, flapper area, I'm going to get drunk, I'm going to go crash my car, whatever you're going to do.
Right.
Cannabis doesn't have that same ideology. It never has.
The downside is that it carries, the negative side of it is carried for much longer.
To an extent, but that's only in certain areas. Like in California, I don't think it was.
Listen, Reefer Madness put a big.
Oh yeah, well, you're talking about the 1915,
right? But as long as that's been able to carry through, and understand, until they reschedule this,
sure,
it will always be worse than alcohol.
But in the eyes of the federal government, yes. But I'm talking about in the eyes of the consumer market. When you're coming around the 90s, the 80s and the 90s,
dude, that's when I was like that DeWalt blower that you had there.
Yeah,
that's when I think I was smoking that much every day.
Well, but think about what that era is, right? So the 1980s is.
I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Well,
to cross my lips.
Well, but in the 1980s, it was the cocaine epidemic, right? You have a lot of crack, a lot of cocaine.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So in
may have dabbled a little bit there too.
Well, but what I'm
ting ting ting. You're hitting all of them there, Nick.
Fuck, we're hitting bullet points now.
But what I'm saying is,
but just remember that was my time.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
but
not anymore.
What I'm saying for the cannabis consumer is that during the time when those were when cannabis was
there was a time, sorry, when I mixed them actually.
Well, but when you're coming into the licensed, the 215 era in California, right? The biggest negative connotation around drugs was around cocaine and around crack, right? It was the end of the 80s, coming into the 90s.
No, you're right.
They weren't focused solely on that. But when they were coming out of alcohol prohibition, what was the main focus? Gangland. It was gangland. There were mobsters who were running whiskey and they were killing each other over it.
Right.
That I don't think that connotation ever existed.
No, never. Not on the cannabis side.
Exactly.
Because everybody was, when you're fucking high, last thing you really want,
no violence.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, it's kind of like this. It's like, motherfuckers, I mean, they're my shit. I'm going to fucking do this, man. I'm going to fucking wait till I get my fucking gat. I'm going to fucking pop these guys. I'm going to do this shit. You motherfucker. I'm so fucking pissed right now. Yeah, you know what, bro? I think I'll get to that later.
I think I'm gonna watch a movie.
I think right now, what sounds good is Frank's Pizza, and
exactly.
Probably, and watch a movie. And I think, you know what, guys? I think I'm just gonna Netflix and chill instead of Netflix and kill.
Exactly.
In UCLA, you could get away with doing very little, and I was not doing very much. So I was
you were bored.
I was in an anthropology class, and I said, if I pass this test, if I pass this midterm that I've done no studying for, I've only come to class, taken notes, never even opened my book to study outside of class. I said, if I pass this test, I'm dropping out of UCLA. And I got a B+ on the test. And I remember walking out of the classroom, and a kid walked out of the classroom, and he reached in his backpack and pulled out a Corona and cracked it and drank his Corona on campus. And I was like, what a tool. I'm out of here. We've both been through the era of absolutely zero regulation whatsoever, and all of the challenges and obstacles that provides. And now, having navigated the first couple of years of the regulated industry in Washington and California myself, and you in a few states, I just can't help but think it's going to be nice to have a traditional banking relationship rather than these banking alternatives.
Oh, yeah.
As the legal market grows, as more and more states come on board, I'm hoping things finally start to get a little more normalized from a business standpoint.
Right. That I mean, like you said, the banking has always been That's always one of the ones that just kills. I mean, we literally just had another bank account closed last week. We're fortunate that we do have some banking that has been full cannabis and whatnot, and there's fees that come along with that. I mean, we're all dealing with that. But you know, can you? This is for my perspective, but I want to see yours. Is this getting any easier for you?
You know, dealing with the regulations was more difficult than dealing with the raids.
Okay. I'm glad that, see, this is great because we're on the same wavelength when it comes to that. This isn't any easier for us.
Yeah,
it's
no,
it's actually harder.
I find the Bureau of Cannabis Control more oppressive, and our legislature, you know, and all the good ideas they come up with, as it's more oppressive than just law enforcement was in the pre-regulatory gray area days.
100%. You know what I mean?
How did you end up going public?
Yeah, so we did a full 2-year audit, and then you can file what's called a Form 10 registration statement, which basically is telling the SEC that you'd want to be registered, effective registrant, make sure that, you know, all your financials are publicly available and that you're going to audit quarterly and keep them, right? So that was step one. And then step two, we filed what's called a 15C211 request for ticker symbol. We got the KSHB.
And were you guys bought by the company at this point? Or you were just talks and...
No. We
with Medbox? Or...
Yeah, we saw the Medbox deal. We rejected the Medbox deal and said if they could do it, we could do it, right? And we'll figure it out. And we did. And we got the ticker symbol KSHB. It was January of 2015 or December of 2015 when we got it.
So when you get something like that, like a ticker symbol, is there like this?
The fucking money just starts pouring.
No. I'm saying just the fact that you got a ticker symbol
means nothing.
No, but did you guys? Was it a thing for you guys? Like, fuck, we got this ticker symbol, or
no, we
you guys
never
get the hats.
We never got that moment to celebrate. Right, we were hoping to uplist on the NASDAQ and maybe we'd get to ring the bell and have that. But it was always like, you know, so many different milestones. It was like, oh, we'll celebrate the next one, and the next thing you know, it's
that's
like,
how we do.
You know, you guys, the same thing. We're moving so fast, it's hard. But we. With the ticker symbol, then we had to get a market maker to start building the market and
pushing you
the
out.
First day, it was January, we started trading. It was great. It was like, we're going to trade today. You know, you can go online, you can look at your stock, trade at like 100 shares. You know, it's like.
So what does that equal? Like pennies, right?
Yeah, we came out, I think we put it at $2, knowing it would drop, but it was like, you know, we just got to get it moving, right? So you
let everybody know, family, friends, everybody, like
everybody
hey,
that had bought stock was like, hey, you know, we've got the ticker, here's somebody you can maybe call if you want to get it deposited to get it sold, which was a whole arduous process in itself. I mean, people are like, what, I have to fill out all this paperwork and pay a $2,000 fee just so I could sell my it's just, we're like, yeah, if you'd rather not sell, don't worry about it. Just hang on to them.
Then we have one bank that handles all of our payroll and this and that, you know, he's on that, and it's like I can't keep up on that.
It's a full-time job.
It is, and my job is
so ridiculous. You're trying to put your money in a bank account like that, and then the legal ones that they have now, or whatever they're considered cannabis banks, they want to charge you $3-4 grand a month to put your money in a bank account. It's robbery.
It's insane. Like,
we had a company come in.
I remember this.
Sat down at the table and they started going and they're like, yeah, so our fees are pretty fair. We charge 3%. And I'm like, what? It's 3% of your gross sales to be at their bank.
I'm like,
I say, get the fuck out.
No, literally, I waited for him for a second, but he just he gave me a 2.5 second break where I jumped right in. I go, you're fucking crazy. And the guy was literally sitting at the table. He's like, oh, like I thought this was real.
$60,000 a month you want to hold my money? Like, what the fuck are you even thinking?
It took me, I think he was still like, just like, did that really come out of his mouth? And I did
he's
the
like,
math
we might be
really
able
quick, and I'm like, you're fucking nuts.
Yeah, he's like, depending on the amount, we might be able to get it down 1% or so. And I'm like, get the fuck out.
Even brands like you that try to raise the copyright issue, they can't get very far because it's like playing whack-a-mole. And we did this story called Journey of a Tainted Vape, and we talked to people who've gone to Shenzhen, gone to where 90% of the vapes in the world are made. And they'll tell you that there's a neighborhood of vape factories, and they're lined up, you know, right next to each other.
I could tell you this. When we started Platinum Vape, The first thing that happened, Cody got on, found a manufacturer in Shenzhen. 2 weeks later, him and I were on a plane, flew to Shenzhen. We took the open vape cartridges and hardware that we were selling to Shenzhen. We spent 2 weeks there to have them perfect the problems that we were seeing with it. I've been to Shenzhen. I have been through, I don't know how many factories, for the carts and the hardware. It's an unbelievable place, and how this thing works is absolutely crazy. But I've been there, and it's factory after factory after factory. And
my point was that a lot of these guys were making fidget spinners last week, and they'll make pogo sticks next week. They're literally, like one guy said, quote, "It's just a group of people in a building trying not to starve." And so they don't care where it's going. They don't care who it's hurting. They don't care what they're making. I think you get the death penalty in China for cannabis, but it's totally okay to ship it out to the Americans and let them do God knows what with it. I think Leafly's got a great culture and a great roadmap, and it's delivering, and we got the winds at our back.
And most important is integrity.
I agree. I wanted to flag that we were one of the first people to delist unlicensed stores.
Bam!
The unlicensed market had these contaminants in it, was hurting people, was hurting communities, and you don't want to be aligned with that. You want to be aligned with the future, and so we, I think, benefited from that early. And you can know that if you go on Leafly and you're seeing a store, we verified that store has a license and it's a valid store, which is the big deal in California, because like $3 out of $4 spent is still being spent in the illicit market because of these bans in the endemic traditional market. No offense to them. I know how hard it is to get in, but as a consumer, I want to buy local. I want to buy licensed. I want to reward the people that are trying to do it right, trying to sell tested products, trying to be
safe,
accountable.
Being safe.
One time I was with George Lopez.
Oh yeah,
and he's a big fan of Cheech and Chong, So I met him in a outdoor book place, where you sell books, magazines, the outdoor ones.
Yeah, that's where you would find Lopez. That's where you'd see him outdoors at a book fair.
Yeah, well, not a book fair, but the vendors, they're outside.
Yeah,
and So George, he said, "Oh, Tommy Chong, how are you, man? Yeah, I'm a big fan, blah blah blah." And so I said, "What have you been up to, George?" He said, "Oh, I'm working." And so I acted like he was working in the thing. I said, "Oh, you sell magazines?" "Oh, that's good, man." You guys. The feds were watching me for a year, and that they had helicopters. And one time, a bunch of feds pulled up outside my house on bicycles, and
Mormons.
And they engaged me in conversation. Like, "Hey, what kind of plants are those? They're palms, And I was so clueless.
Oh man!
And one time we're selling bongs in Texas, in Arlington, and the bong and all these feds were in there. And they had the headbands on, and they had cameras, in their knapsacks, and they're pretending they were hippies, and everybody, all the people that worked there knew they were DEA.
So were they just fucking with them?
DEA T-shirts, and they would follow these guys around with DEA T-shirts.
Oh no!
I still never got to him. They took me and said, "Can we talk to you?" They took me outside and they said, "Okay, now these bongs, they're not really just for tobacco use only, are they?" And of course I said, "Oh no,
try to incriminate
It was, and they filmed it all.
Everybody associates in our industry Benzinga with cannabis. Like that's just, you say Benzinga? Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
Give me an overview.
So here's what I like about that, but I'll back up and tell you just who we are and what we do, and I'll give you the short version. But think of us as a Bloomberg or a Reuters, right? And we're starting to eat their lunch a little bit, so I hope you guys are watching. But here's the thing: we're providing news and data to a lot of different industries across the markets, right? So whether it be cannabis or fintech or esports, or the S&P 500 or whatever it is, we're covering all manners of stocks and industries, right?
So nobody really knows that. I mean,
no,
wait,
but that's fine.
Nobody in cannabis, not most people in cannabis don't. Now I've gone on and looked at it, and it's fucking amazing. Like it's almost
we have a
like
cool site.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Here's what I love about it, though. Well, two things. One, God bless this industry. It has its share of issues, right? And it has its share of stigma, and we've dodged a lot.
What is that share compared to? Because I think we hold the line share of whatever that share is.
That's fair. You guys are the redheaded stepchild for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Right. But listen, I mean, we've been able to operate in multiple industries, and the best part about it is that we can bring what we learn in other industries to cannabis.
The big one though that I seen was the Armenia.
Yeah, that was
100 year.
We had another one. We were going back in June. We had to cancel. It was gonna be 5 years later. We are gonna do another one there.
Dude, that was
another free one. But
the way that thing started.
I said the story.
How are you guys feeling like that was playing?
It was crazy,
and everybody was out there because it was fucking quiet.
It was
in the
quiet.
very beginning.
You can hear the bells.
Yes.
Yeah, the churches like
it gives me chills even talking about it.
Say, look
at because I was like watching this in the beginning, and it was like literally fucking silent, and people and that what you guys played in the beginning of that before you came on.
Yeah.
And as soon as you guys fucking hit the first note, it was like and pouring rain.
Those people. It started raining. There was no rain the whole time we were there.
Right.
We got on stage. It started raining. We walked off stage. The rain went away. Because it was about the genocide. Remember, it's 100 years.
I know.
So it was like the gods were crying. That's what it felt like. You know, it was like there was really, like tears coming down. The kids were crying. The gods were crying. The sky was crying. We were crying. I cried on stage a couple times. I felt emotional watching kids cry, watching you. It's like when you see kids that, you know, I mean, I'm born there.
Right.
So to me, it was something different. It was like going back. I mean, we left there when I was 4 or 5. And I don't remember much, but I just remember like the temperature. It was like it's cold over there. So we have like a lot of snow and stuff. So I remember that. And just to go back and to see this like warm reception, like, you know, and it was just like we're their heroes now, you know?